I'm taking a good cup of tea here. It is very cold today. Uh, we are having low temperatures, and let's see what is going to happen. But we already, it is everything okay. We are taking care here and keeping warm. And how is the weather in Haifa?
Very warm today. It's a sunny day, beautiful sunny day. This is a summer day, and this is the first of Tammuz. So this is a new Hebrew month, and next to us, the closest school, elementary school, the children are having a production. This is a production that they did to, how do you say, to summarize the year, and they are completing the school, elementary school. So there will be a show tonight here. The chairs are ready, the music is ready, everything is waiting for the sunset and the guests to come.
Great. Wow. There must be an excellent mood
Yes.
in the air.
Yes, yes. Thank you. And I
think I'm
think
going to
yes.
Haifa.
Yes. Yes, yeah. We can broadcast. They will speak English. The children. This is the first time the sport teacher set such a beautiful production with them. It's very open. They will speak about universal topics, and they will speak English also. This is the first time. So we heard the rehearsal the last few weeks. Yes, it is inspiring. Good.
To listen to this.
Thanks. And I see here Felipe. Good morning, Felipe.
Hello, hello, shalom, my friends.
Shalom, shalom. How are you, Felipe?
I'm good. I'm fine, thanks.
I'm very happy that.
Yes. How do you do?
I'm fine, thank you. I just would like to balance a bit the sound. Here is Jill. Good morning, Jill. Good morning. Felipe, can you please speak? I would like to, there is an properties in which I can increase your voice. 1 second. Felipe, can you speak?
I'm speaking now.
Okay.
Speaking, but
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Now it's better. Yes.
okay.
Thank you.
Eti,
Yes, yes.
just a quick question. You mentioned that today is the Rosh of Tammuz, right?
Yes, yes.
And it's the end of the month of Sivan,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What's the meaning of the word Sivan in Hebrew? What's the meaning of this word, the name of the month? There is a meaning for the Sivan?
It might come from Siv, Ziv. Ziv is a light. Sometimes Zain, the letter Zain, and the letter Samech. Good morning, Venus, on YouTube. Bonjour. Bonjour. Sometimes Samech, S, and Zain, Z, they switch or move. It might come from Ziv, Sivan, without the noon. Siv is like Ziv, a lot of light, a long light hours, the angle of the sun. This might be one option. There are many more.
Okay, thank you very much.
I can send you after class the meaning of the month, Sivan.
Thank you very much, Eti.
You're most welcome. And Jill, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, shalom, bon dia. I'm good. I'm happy I'm here.
Good to hear your voice. Good to hear your voice. And in the spirit of the book of Weinreb that we started reading on Monday, I thought, why don't we pop into the whiteboard and read the beginning or the preface of his book, Roots of the Bible. So we are at the moment at the whiteboard. This is the cover that I have at the moment in print, the blue here with the like golden or yellow letters, and there's a preface. Do we see the preface Is it clear? The first page of the preface to his book?
Yes,
Yes, it looks clear.
Okay. Is it possible to read? The letters are possible to read?
Yes.
Yes. Now we look for volunteer to read.
I can read
Thank you.
if
This
you want
is-
me to.
Yes.
Okay. Preface and Apologia. Why was this book written? This book definitely requires a few words of introduction, for it is rather an unusual book. It deals with problems of life, of the world, of the Bible, in a way unknown in publications up to the present. One will look in vain for writings in any language containing this matter communicated in this way. This book will therefore be a sensation to the interested and understanding reader. The author is well aware of the fact, but on careful consideration has thought fit to communicate to a limited extent this knowledge which has so far not been published and even for the most part forgotten. The knowledge set forth in this book dates back to prehistoric times. It is definitely no discovery of the authors. It practically got lost, however, in these latter centuries, partly even in the latter millennium, in those circles, too, where acquaintance with it might have been of illimitable significance. With the loss of this knowledge, many certainties in regard to the purpose of life got adrift or altogether lost. Yet the material fundamental to this knowledge has remained intact throughout the ages, not in the form of scrolls hidden in caves or ancient potsherds and parchments retrieved in archaeological expeditions. The manner in which it remained intact is much more surprising and imposing. It has been with us all the time, and during the latter centuries even printed many times in numerous books. The only thing is that it has for a long, long time not been recognized as such. The quintessence was overlooked. People simply did not see it, primarily because they had lost the key. It has rarely been more manifest than the gods think they could lead the world, had eyes but could not see. Once the key is retrieved, as will appear after perusal of this book, one will realize that regaining this knowledge from the profuse material at hand is a simple and, at the same time, uncommonly fascinating matter easily accomplished in one's lifetime. One will see that regaining it does not depend on endless complicated research, in which subtly abnormal penetration or photographic memory play a decisive part, and that neither screwing up to a special spiritual condition nor application of mystical practices are required. It is nothing except a simple human affair which merely requires normal common sense, besides goodwill and an attitude to life directed towards the real. By now, one will wonder what this mysterious yet often printed material is and how it is that the key for understanding such important things got lost. The material is found in the enormous complex known as ancient Jewish lore. An exact, serious, intellectually justified approach of this tradition proves to lead to astonishing results, to unknown possibilities. Without any exaggeration, a new universe may be said to loom up. This ancient tradition, as any tradition at any time, is based on knowledge of the meaning of life. When the study of this ancient wisdom approaches the domain where the one thing that matters is to penetrate to the ultimate cause regarding the reality of this world, of life and death, it changes its character of typical general formulations resulting from mechanical, material, and exterior relationships, to that where the single personality, the manner of life, thought, and desires of the man facing this tradition become decisive for the powers of understanding and his mental scope. The approach of the essential in the world is closely related to the essential in man. and because of it has a very personal character. Every man gives expression to the world in a different manner. Therefore, it was an ancient custom merely to transmit this profounder and wider approach from teacher to pupil, taking into account the natural disposition and character of the pupil correctly to understand the greatness and depth of the meaning of life. It required wisdom and restraint on the part of the teacher to impart this to the pupil. With regard to the latter's personality, which under the circumstances found the maximum, for the reverse of the knowledge of ultimate causes and forces implies a potential unchecked, immense power over matter. The chances of abuse of this power for the sake of narrow-minded, selfish purposes often cause the teacher to limit the extent of the pupil's intention. Modern man who has barely tasted the consequences of penetrating into a few secrets of matter as expressed in conceptions such as nuclear energy, modern psychology, and biology, will not look upon the disposition in regard to initiating pupils as strange or narrow-minded or wrong anymore. In consequence of the serious loss in depth in the views and the ways of life of humanity through the externalization which has been in progress for centuries, the knowledge of the essence of things could no longer be transmitted, or at least only partially. People lost sight of the correct, systematic, all-embracing approach to reality. They forgot that it is man's personality which determines the depth of his knowledge, and that which through deficiency of the personality could not be comprehended anymore was called the secret. In this way there ensued an erroneous estimation, a misconception of the meaning of the secret. It brought in its wake trifling with mysteriousness, with unwarranted secrecy, indulged in strange, misunderstood expressions. The ever-expanding domain of ignorance about the real became a hotbed for queer and alarming reactions, indicating that man realized intuitively that he might come to knowledge. It is true, but that he no longer knew how. It was the domain where ignorance of things one was certainly able to grasp made a mockery of the secret, where profound human sentiments were debauched. Because of all this, the rendering of what would have been regarded in the ancient times as knowledge of the meaning of the world has become vague, confused, desultory, not to mention the numerous entirely wrong approaches based on misjudgment of the significance of this wisdom. All in all, there arose an unsatisfactory picture, rightly to be rejected by those who seriously wanted to find out the purposes of existence and live in accordance therewith. Neither did the teachers in general know how to approach the reality of this by means of the material they had read and studied. Large numbers of them do not even realize anymore that there is a knowledge of the reality of things. They believe that the Bible and biblical lore are merely information dating back to olden times concerning the history and customs of an ethnic group.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. It's a lot of effort, so let's make a pause. What do you think about the text?
I like it very much, Etienne. Thank you, Jill, for reading so beautifully. And may I ask you, Etienne, one question?
Yes.
It is not directly for the text, because just before the question, just to point out that Weinreb has this approach that he is given the keys, and you can approach the text, with the keys that you can grab, like it is an open source,
Yes.
And I'm wondering, because Weinreb is from the 20th century, and we have also Ashlag from the same.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there is any reference between these two sages,
Mm-hmm.
and if they could dialogue, or if their approach is barely similar or not. What do you think about it? I would like to listen.
Yes.
If you could say something.
Yes. Thank you, Fernando, for the question, and I would like to answer, because here we have three men that, in my mind, according to my perception, gave different direction of the wisdom. There's Gershom Scholem here. 1 second, I will fit the ink to the size. Gershom Scholem. I'm not sure that I'm writing his name well. Gershom Scholem. It depends of how we write. Gershom Shalom. He was a professor. We have Friedrich Weinreb. Deliberately I write his name in the middle. And we have Bala Sulam. All of those three wise ancient people had an access to the wisdom. Bala Sulam, he was active, he was born in Poland. By the way, all of them are the sons of the same generation. Bala Sulam and Gershom Scholem were born still in the 19th century. And Friedrich Weinreb, I believe, is the youngest of the two. But they belong to the same generation. Bala Sulam approach is like East European angle. Friedrich Weinreb is in the middle, so he was professor for statistics, so he combines the Hebrew letters with the mathematical value, and he gives a very profound and wise approach to every man wherever he is born. This is why I wrote Friedrich Weinreb in the middle. And Gershom Scholem, he just, in a way, not just, but he scans the whole, so to speak, history from, let's say, the destruction of the temple, even before, until our times. He just summarized the Hebrew writing. And Gershom Scholem, he was a professor in the Hebrew University. He opened a field, established a field that was, before his time, did not exist. He developed it. So, in a way, Gershom Scholem described in his books what he finds, what he discovers, because he used to collect books, and then he started reading and analyzing them. This is how the science developed. So Gershom Scholem described what he sees, what he meets, and through his reputation, people start to sending him books, and he researched them because they understand he is a great mind. So this is Gershom Scholem. He looks at books and analyzes what he finds. Weinreb, in a way, is very interesting because Weinreb used the wisdom to save people. He acted through this knowledge to save people's life. Bala Sulam wrote many books. One of them is the translation to the book of Zohar. Another one is Talmud Eser HaSfirot, the teaching of the 10 spheres. Panim Me'irot Masbirot, and many other great books. Bala Sulam, very interestingly, as Friedrich Weinreb was meeting political figure to change the course of history according to his understanding. Gershom Scholem, in a way, did not act in the world. He was just describing what he found in books. So this is only the beginning. It is very interesting. Fernando, your question is very, very interesting, because I was thinking about those three approaches to life. And this is what we find. Bala Sulam wrote in Hebrew. His, I would say, destination or his community, or he turned to people who spoke Hebrew, also Yiddish and German, but his destination was to speak only to Jewish, so to speak, ethnicity. Weinreb spoke to everyone, and also Gershom Scholem, Hebrew and English speakers, German speakers. Gershom Scholem could write and read and speak professionally, and published in 3 languages: German, English and Hebrew. Weinreb published in Dutch, in German, and was later translated to other languages: English and then Spanish, Hebrew later. Bala Sulam wrote in Hebrew, in Aramaic. He wrote many, many books. Many, many, many books. So his, I would say, Bala Sulam, he lived in East Europe. Later he came to Israel. Palestine, it was not yet his lens at saying was that by reading the Zohar, and in his time there was a communistic revolution, 1917, so he was really impressed. So he tried to combine the two things. It is an interesting section to cut life in this manner. Friedrich Weinreb, this is very interesting because Bala Sulam immigrated from Poland to Palestine before it was Israel, in the beginning of the 20s. It was 1922 or 3, don't catch me, and also Gershom Scholem came from Germany at about 1923. They came to Israel. In those times it was Palestine, it was British mandate. Friedrich Weinreb was he was born in East Europe, his family, and then they moved to Holland in the time of the Second World War. The Germans went into Holland and took him. He was in the German camps, and he tried with his knowledge and love for humans. He wrote a sequence of letters to the German commanders, pretending some kind of a story, and by creating imaginary figures, he managed to save people's lives, many people's lives. Most of them immigrated to South America. So I would appreciate if you ask at this point questions, because it's interesting. Bala Sulam was born in East Europe, came to Israel. Gershom Scholem was born in West Europe, Berlin. He came to Israel. Both came after the First World War. Friedrich Weinreb remained in Europe, and under the veil of the Second World War since he understood how life works. He tries to save people's life. Later, after the war, he wrote 3 books in German about his experience in the war. This is until now, and you're welcome to ask questions.
It is beautiful. It is amazing what you just pointed to us, and I'm just wondering because it can represent an spirit of time, maybe, or the spirit in time, the spirit of God in time, that manifested. And when we look backwards, we can see it, like you are pointing here. And we are facing this kind of revolution, like to enter in the secret domain, almost in a direct way, because thanks to these men that came and opened the secrets, right, to the world. Just contemplating. It's beautiful what you just said.
Thank you. Yes. Felipe, did you want to ask something?
No, it's just thank you. Also to thank you, and actually, this morning I was reading the book of Esther, the scroll, the amazing scroll of Esther, and felt this will to go to the preface of the Roots of the Bible, as in the preface of this other book. Weinreb mentions that it's important to be aware of what were his ideas that he put in Roots of the Bible. So it's quite deep. It's heavy content. It's not so easy. Since the beginning, you have to pay a lot of attention, because it's interesting, because he speaks, he tries, and he succeeds bringing these deep topics, these inner and secret subjects to light in a way very, let's say, scientific in the good aspect. He tries to reach our 20th century minds and speak to our generation. And just to comment that I think it's important for us to look again to this introduction, because it might bring to us a lot of lights to continue and to dive deep into the scroll of Esther as well. So thank you for bringing it.
Thank you. Questions, Rodrigo, Jill? Would you like to ask something regarding the text, or in general about what you have read?
I guess I have maybe a general thought. It just kind of has me thinking about their process, where they were at in their life when they were writing, and also if you think that there's still going to be other perspectives to come. Like I've only been in the conversation like since last August maybe, but when I sit back and listen to all your conversations, I wonder if there's going to be like more more books with more things for people to learn from, kind of like what they've written. That's just kind of what I was thinking.
Thank you for the question. Gershom Scholem wrote, there are many, many books by Gershom Scholem in English, and I can put a reference on Discord after class. He wrote many, many books, and about him, many books were written because he was the greatest mind in his field. About Bala Sulam did not write in English, but about him there are books in English as well, and there's also a content over the internet. And Friedrich Weinreb, only 2 of his books were translated into English, Roots of the Bible and the Scroll of Esther, while the rest of Weinreb books are appearing in Dutch, in German, in Spanish, and one in Hebrew. But the major work of Weinreb is in Dutch and in German, and there is a German archive which is managed by Dieter Minuska. I used to translate his text into Slack. Dieter used to work with the Association of Friedrich Weinreb, and this association, they're not friendly, and they put their heavy foot on the archives of Weinreb, and they don't let people that speak English, because if I recall well, people from North America, English and German speakers, try to converse with this association and to get their permission to translate more of Weinreb books into English. And since this association is very, I would say, territorial, they don't let anyone access the German files. Dieter, as a librarian who used to work, and they used to have also, they don't let Dieter work freely. So Dieter opened a blog, and also he has like sound files of recordings of Weinreb in German. And Dieter started working independently of this association. And there's another person called Yochanan Masoa. Is a German guy, very friendly. He also he managed to go to Switzerland, to the archives, and to read Weinreb's, I would say, articles in Dutch and in German, and he composed a book called Hebrew Astrology from Weinreb's lists. So with Yochanan and with Dieter we can work, both are speaking also English, German and Dutch. But with Weinreb Association it is hard, very, very hard, because they don't want to communicate. They're just sitting heavily on the archives. So I don't know how. We are lucky that people in the 20th century managed to translate the rules of the Bible from, it was written in Dutch and people translated into English. We are very lucky that this thing had happened. Also with the Scroll of Esther, Anonymous, if we open the book, the Scroll of Esther, the PDF, people translated the book into English. Anonymous people, we don't know who did it. This is in a way, very kind work, and nobody is signed on a translation to English. maybe because it was impossible to translate it into English in the times. But people did it, and luckily we have this. So this is in general how these things are standing. Gershom Scholem, all the internet is, I would say, flooded with his books that he wrote in German, in English, and in Hebrew. People wrote and still writing about him and the way of his work. Friedrich Weinreb, he has 2 books in English, all the rest are in Dutch and German. And Bala Sulam is also translated during the years into English, so there's a lot of material about him as well. I hope that I manage somehow to summarize it.
Thank you. It helps a lot because I've gone through and looked at some of Friedrich Weinreb's titles, and I was like, it's impossible. And I've been on his foundation page, and yeah, I can't find anything that was in English, and so it makes sense as to why I can't find any of that now.
And something also interesting happened while Dieter was working still. There was a fire, and we don't know what happened. It's not pleasant, all of this story. Weinreb wanted in his life to open it to people as much as possible. And we have even a book. He visited in Israel only once in 1967. After the war, there was a 6-day war here. He visited. We bought his book about it in the Corona. It's a purple book in German. And he visited here. He described, because usually when people come to Israel, they think in the heart about the promised land, and he comes and describes it as another Middle Eastern city, and like another, because he was visiting also in Turkey. So he came here, and people did not welcome him that well. But he met an interesting person from America, North America, very fine guy, and he wanted to open Weinreb more doors into North America, to the English-speaking people. He was so positive, and they had plans together. Weinreb was, this time he was really elder man. But 2 weeks after they met, the American guy, he moved into the next pages in his life. He went to heaven, and Weinreb left again alone with no cooperation. And he continued to make lectures from time to time in Switzerland. And why do I mention Switzerland? Because also Gershom Scholem was giving lectures once in a year in Orano Cycle in Switzerland. This is interesting. And even there, people managed to chase Weinreb. Yes, a lady arrived, he writes about this in his book. A lady arrived into his lecture in Switzerland and stopped the lectures and make a drama. How dare he speak like this about the Bible? So his life was not easy even after the war. After he finished concentration camp in Germany, the Dutch accused him of cooperating with the Germans, so the Dutch put him after the war as 3 more years in the Dutch prison. But this was a gift for Weinreb, because he was so isolated from any human contact that being in himself alone after so many torture, a thought came to him that behind every letter there's a number, and if we can read the numbers, the code behind the letters, we have the key to the Bible. And in a way, with all the torture that the Dutch administration made to Weinreb after the war, after the concentration camp, this great isolation influenced Weinreb innerly to have this breakthrough in his mind. And when he left the Dutch prison, he had this already. The code. He understood this is the code. So the deep isolation in a way became to be a blessing. Questions, maybe?
Yes. I have something I often think about. It's about this. He mentions in the beginning of his preface the ancient lores, and this literature. It's interesting because for us, we are from a Christian tradition, and we are used to the Bible, and we have this so-called New Testament, but altogether with the so-called Old Testament, right? And it's but in the Christianity we do not. I mean, in my life, I didn't. We are not so. I mean, I didn't know the Old Testament, the Hebrew Testament, and Bible from the beginning. It's something that I am approaching mostly with since we began to speak in the sessions and so. But what it's really intriguing for me, it's the great amount of lores and literature that is restricted only majorly in Hebrew, meaning I was searching for some midrash, and it's very hard to find this content even in English. I didn't find much thing on internet. Maybe there is publications, but it's interesting because how can I say, I didn't found these lores. You know, he talks about the lores and he gives the reference like Bereshit Rabbah. I just found a little bit the beginning of the Bereshit Rabbah in the site Sefaria, and then I didn't find it. You know, there is the 99% of the midrash we cannot find, and just it. I don't know how could we access it. Mostly we ask you, you know.
Yes.
I ask you, and you know the lores. But it's hard to find. It's hard to find.
Thank you for the question. Bereshit Rabbah is translated to English, so many professors work on the file. I saw it on the net. So Bereshit Rabbah. Why Bereshit Rabbah? Because it is, we have Bereshit Rabbah, Shmot Rabbah. Rabbah is like many. So each book of the Bible has a parallel book of lores that escorts and explain many verses in a very creative way. So we have Bereshit Rabbah, Shmot Rabbah. Bereshit Rabbah is like a Genesis great, which means a book of lores about Genesis, and we have Shmot Rabbah, meaning Exodus Rabbah or Great Exodus, a book of lores about Exodus, and so on. So we have 5 books about the 5 books of the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, and we have also 5 books of laws. For each scroll, there's a book of laws. So there's also Esther Rabbah, which is a book of laws about the scroll of Esther. There is Shir HaShirim Rabbah, like Song of Songs Rabbah. There's a book of laws regarding Shir HaShirim, and so on. Eicha and Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, and so on, and Daniel. And I think that I saw to Bereshit, to the 5 books of Moses, there is a translation to English. I saw this. American Hebrew professors wrote. And there's also translations to German. I've seen them. And to Spanish as well. The Book of Jasher is a great source of laws. Rashi translation or explanation to the Bible. If you find Rashi translation, most of Rashi's translation is basically a collection of laws. Rashi interpreted the Bible in the 11th century in Europe between Germany and France, and he summarized many of the laws in his time. So if we are reading Rashi translation to the Bible, we find hidden laws there. Rashi wrote Zohar before there was Zohar, so this is an interesting perspective. We also reading the translation of the Bible to Aramaic by Onkelos or by Jonathan translation, meaning the translation of the Bible from Hebrew to Aramaic. So we read also a few versions of Aramaic. In the Babylonian Talmud, there are many laws which are coded inside, and so on. There's so many Midrash Sifri, Midrash Tanchuma, Midrash Agadol. There's so many books. I mean, there's like 2,000 years literature in Hebrew about the Bible. And I believe that we find footprints of the Hebrew laws in literature all over the world. But you can ask questions about the laws or about the Hebrew sources. I shall be happy to find, if you find a reference or a footnote in Weinberg books, we could track the source. There's no problem.
T.
Yes.
Regarding this, we are talking about authors who spoke of tradition the 20th century, Scholl and Wagner, Baal HaSulam. But before them, there were Gicatila,
Yes.
Abulafia, Cordovero, Luria, and the Zohar,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And after them, how can I say, currently, we have, for example, Daniel Metz, who translated the Zohar from Aramaic to English, and Michael Lightman, who is a disciple of Baal HaSulam.
No, he's not. No.
Okay. But let me try to put this on the table, because few days ago, a friend of mine, friend of Fernando and Felipe's, mentions that he prefers to read more, how can I say, more recent authors like Lightman and Metz, because they have a language closer to our generation, our reality. They speak to us, and he knows that you are studying the Zohar, and say that the language of the classics, like Zohar and Luria, it's far from us and very difficult to understand. And of course, that I personally prefer the classics, the ancient books. But I just to listen you. I want to listen you. What you think about this? Are there current authors that are as important uh, as those of the 20th century and the earlier authors? I don't know if you understand me. This friend mentioned that he prefers to read um, Lightman or Lurie or Daniel Metz than Luria or something ancient. I don't know if you could say something about this.
Few things. Thank you for your question. A few corrections. The translation of the Zohar, that people currently call it a translation of Daniel Matt, is a cooperation of work. Professors, Hebrew professors from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem cooperated together to translate the Zohar. Maybe he was the projector, Daniel Matt, but it's a huge collaboration of many, many years, and many, many professors participated in the translation. Professors and the students, and so it's a huge work. It's not a work of one man. It is published or is known over the net, the Zohar by Daniel Matt. But as you know, it's impossible for one man to do this in one lifetime. So many, many professors put the powers together to make it happen. So it's a collaboration. You can open the book and see the names of the professors and their squads and where they are located in the world. This is one thing. Second remark. Lightman was not a student of Baal HaSulam. It cannot be. It's very simple. Baal HaSulam died in the mid-50s. Mr. Lightman arrived to Israel from Russia in the beginning of the 70s. So we have a lack of 20 years or so. So it's impossible. Mr. Lightman was a student of Baal HaSulam's son, Rabbi Baruch. So this is to put things in their place. Now, Michael Lightman came to Israel. His first language is Russian, and he was a doctor, and he started learning at Baal HaSulam's son. And he doesn't have the background of the Babylonian Talmud nor Aramaic. What I find interesting, and I will give Gershom Scholem perspective. At the beginning or in the middle of the 20th century, people asked Gershom Scholem to translate the Zohar. The Zohar, the major part of the Zohar is in Aramaic with I would say Hebrew verses from the Bible. So it's like a collage. The conversation are in Aramaic. When there's a discussion about the Hebrew verses of the Bible, they're in Hebrew. So it's a collage of Aramaic and Hebrew. When people turn to Scholem and ask him, please translate, or why don't we translate the Zohar to the Hebrew readers, because there are people here in the country who read Hebrew, and he says, I'm not translating the Zohar to Hebrew because I don't want to lower the standard. The educated reader should be able to read Aramaic and to understand the discussion. So this was Gershom Scholem point of view. Baal HaSulam understood that there is a lack, and he said and translated the book of Zohar. Not just translated, but also explained in his way. It's not just a translation word by word. He created a completely different system. And he translated the Zohar into Hebrew, plus he built in the translation his system of understanding. So it's like double system. And during the years, the last few years, we have a few or several translations of the Zohar to English and to Hebrew, different levels. A wise man or woman, a wise person, or intelligent, who try to access the sources as they are. It's not easy, but it demands a lot of willing to search and to weave a way behind a veil. Some people, they are like followers. They say, okay, here there's a site I can get, this is how they speak, the language is very interesting, I can get information, this is how they speak, so they don't look for wisdom. But people who look or in their life they made a unique path, they will look for the classical, and they will weave or they will connect in their own language or their inner way of dreams and understanding the world by their own. They might ask for reference, where is that, or why is that, or so, but they will do it. It's a matter of devotion and personality, as Jill read for us here in the preface. There's a different type of personality. There are people who come to be entertained from the world. So they sit in the theater and they watch the show and they give applause when it's over. But there are wise people who understand how everything is working behind, and they produce things and they initiate congregation and they initiate moves in life. So some people, their perspective is the consumer. So for them it's fitting to go to this site and to this site, and somebody modern, so to speak in brackets, speaks to them modern language. The interesting thing is to understand why the classical speak the way they speak. But not everyone is willing to do this work, to go into somebody else's mind, to understand their motives, their time, their reference, and how every lore is addressing to a biblical code, because everything sits on numbers. Every word that we meet in the Zohar or in the lore sits on a mathematical core. But people do not wish to see that. They go to a person who they think, or they make him, they crown him, and they go and sit under his feet because they don't want to do the job. Yes, Fernando.
Oh, it's amazing, everything that you are speaking, and it speaks to my heart, and I thank you. And following the idea from the question from Rodrigo, it is interesting, these three pillars, let's say Gershon Scholem and Weinreb and Paul Hasulam, because as you said, from Gershon Scholem we can get a lot of information, precise information, dedicated information, and it is a treasure itself, what the work that he did, looking from a scientific point of view, like academic point of view.
Yes.
that is very good because it is clean, you know, it is amazing to read it and give you material to think about it. And Baha Sulam, he wrote a lot. I'm not an expert, but he wrote a lot, and he opens the ideas, and he puts his way of thinking the ideas, right? He used some keys that he discovered.
Yes, yes.
You know, and he is a great sage, and what I cannot say anything from him, but he gives a lot of new keys. And the interesting fact about Weinreb is that he gives the keys to you use them.
Yes.
It is like when you read the roots of the Bible, it is interesting because he gives only one of infinite ideas about one topic, you know. It is like he's just opening the door and you need to enter. You need to go beyond what he's writing, because you can see that he could write forever, but it is not possible, right?
Yes.
And when we listen to this friend, another time I will share with you, we can share with you from this friend. He is very on this, on Lightman, let's say, approach that is great, and I'm not judging at all. It is a kind of personality, as you said. But it's interesting because I felt that it's like they open, but they close.
True.
It is like Moses is not a historical man. He's a point in the heart. And now it's closed again, you know? Because it is just the point in the heart. For me, it's not only the point in the heart, you know? So, what I would like to say, and I'm not judging, and I hope I didn't talk bad words from anyone, but it is a kind of personality, I think, a kind of courage, you know, because you need to be creative, and in the same time you have to have respect from everything. So it's a very thin line to walk, you know. It is very difficult, but it's alive and it is new. And when I'm looking at these three men that are in the table, and I was talking about the spirit of an epoch, I think. Just to finish what I'm with a lot of things in my mind, but this week we can read about Yucat, the portion, right? The parasha is Yucat, about the red cow,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And the red cow, we have a lot of laws about it, and we have laws about the sacrifice and everything that was made in the temple. And we can see that the sacrifices are gone with the temple, right? And the sages say, well, since we do not have a temple, we cannot make sacrifices.
True.
This is a historical perspective. Maybe it's because Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't have a temple, you know, and they make the sacrifices, let's say, when you look it in a historical perspective. But if we look in a symbolic perspective about time, we can see the Jesus as well in the time of the falling of the temple, and people speaks about the Word of God, and even Jesus about that he was the Word of God, you know, like what we read in John. So from then on, that was the spirit of time. We didn't need any more sacrifices, because speaking the Ruach, it was sufficient. And looking at these three sages, our spirit of time, maybe it's not only the reading, only collecting information, only speaking about it, that is the Ruach level. but now is the creativity thinking. Maybe the spirit of our time that is opening now. This the symbolical point of view it is the openness, to discover each line every time that you are reading it. Maybe I don't know. It is just the insight that came to me, and I don't know if it makes sense, but I'm glad that I could share it to suffer corrections or anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, to be creative, it means to be active, because those three men made a great work. They wrote a lot, they spoke, they met with people, they printed. They were active, and the others were reading their books, try to understand them, try to follow them. But I think that our conversations enables us also to be creative. We learn to be wiser and to act wisely in life. This is, I think, the core. To learn to be wise, to act wisely in life, to do good. And this is the motivation behind those sessions, behind those conversations. And this is why I think the friend that you met, and he mentioned those sides, he has a different personality and a different motivation. It also might be that this person is in a different level of development, because our development, or the course of our lives, is not termed to one lifetime. We are here speaking together, conversing together, because not just we were acting in our lifetime in a way, in our ways, managed to get across, but in former lifetimes of our lives, we were walking to arrive at this point. Do we understand?
Could you please explain a little bit this idea of walking together and about the perspective of time in life?
Yes. The fact that we have met and we have discussions and we write to each other and we create together, it's not a consequence of only a lifetime of a person X. It's accumulation of also our former lives. Because a man or a person is being born, and it's written on his idea, he was born in this year, in this place. And we relate to our life as what is written on a paper when people are counting the birthday or so. According to what is written on the paper. But our life did not start when the clerk wrote in hospital the day of birth. At the day we were born in hospital is the day we arrived here in this lifetime. And all of us also have previous lifetimes. First of all, do we understand this concept? Or we accept it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the fact that we are meeting here is not because at the day that each and every one of us was born. He was walking in the past, and suddenly we met here, 222. Let's say we were born somewhere in this lifetime, in his or her lifetime. The fact that we met here is also a consequence of our former lives, not just in this lifetime. Because in this lifetime, okay, we went to school, to kindergarten, university, so each one moved in his life, many reincarnations of student, so parent, or so all kinds of things in a lifetime, reincarnations of different roles. This is one thing, but also there's accumulation of experience, because the soul in a way is immortal. And in this lifetime, each and every one of us was born in a timeline or under a certain name or under circumstances. But the soul of which each and every one of us comes with is ancient. And we are carrying ancient memories. And the fact that we are congregating here together is a consequence of our work, not only in this lifetime, but a former lifetime. Meaning, there is much of a chance that we already have met and learned together in previous times. Because we're friends, and the friendship is not just a fruit of the current, let's say, months, years, 2 years together. So it's much ancient, much ancient than the years of this college.
This is beautiful. It is really deep and beautiful, and it would explain a lot, right?
Yes. This is in a way what, yes?
No, just to say that this beautiful explanation, it's beautifully exposed also in the introduction of the Scroll of Esther, and I was just reading it. So beautiful. Binary describing Neshama coming to Earth, and I guess we will be able to speak about this soon. So
Yes.
but it's beautiful to hear, because I am very thankful for this session, because this kind of these perspectives about authors and references and literature and so that you bring, it's a kind of a little different from other sessions that we go deep into the symbolic aspects, but it is very important as well, I guess. So thank you.
Most welcome. If you wish to play, if you want to express something in a musical way, you're welcome.
Yeti and
Yes.
friends.
Yes.
Actually, I was thinking about this, and I don't know if it will work out, but I don't know if anybody wants to ask or say something, but just wanted to share a little bit of a song. I am without the microphone. I don't know if you can hear the guitar.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay, I'm just with the laptop. Just 1 second. It's I was just thinking about the theme of Esther and the Shoshana.
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if it's possible to put to bring a verse in the board for people to look. The
Yes.
second, it's Song of Songs, chapter 2.
Yes.
It's the well-known verse, and I was just trying to compose something with it,
Yes.
and it came a little melody.
Song of Song 2, verse 2,
Yeah.
Felipe. 1 second, I'll
Yes.
bring it to the board. 1 second. Here.
Can you hear the guitar?
Yes, we can.
It's like I was trying to just play around with the Hebrew, and I was thinking that maybe if we are all trying to learn a little bit about Hebrew and sing and even the pronunciation. So if you could teach us a little bit about the pronunciation as well, or if maybe in another session we could try to sing along. Maybe it's just I was trying to make a melody about it. Keshoshana Ben Haohi Ken Hayoti Ben Habatu Keshoshana Ben Haohi Ken Hayoti Ben Habatu Habano Ben Habano. It's like it feels like a hymn to me. You know, I was thinking about a lot of voices singing along. Shoshana Ben Haohi Ken Hayoti Ben Habano. And the pronunciation, it's
Excellent. It's an excellent pronunciation.
Hayoti or Hayati?
Ra'ayati. Ra'ayati. Ra'ayati is my wife. Ra. Ra. A. Ya. Ti. Ra'ayati. Ra'ayati.
If anyone would like to just in tone, just try to sing. Keshoshana Ben Haohi Ken Hayati Ben Habanu.
It is wonderful.
Keshoshana Ben Haohi Ken Hayati Ben Habanu. Just a little melody.
It is wonderful, Felipe. It is wonderful.
Maybe we could
Congratulations, Felipe. Very beautiful. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, friends.
We-
Congratulations.
Very, very
Thank-
pretty.
if you will, we could in another session try to, because there is a problem in internet connections and music, because it's really difficult to sync things, and because there is a delay. But if we make some melody that is not so quick, not so up to the rhythm with a pulse, slow pulse, then it's easier to mix it up. And so with some long melodies we can try to sing together, maybe in another session. So you can enhance home once again. Shoshana Ben Ha-Horim Ken Hayati Ben Ha-Banu Shoshana Ben Ha-Horim Ken Hayati Ben Habanu, Ben Habanu. So that's it, my friends. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It is wonderful, wonderful, and there is it is possible maybe to install a clean feed
Yes.
into the voice room, and then we shall see if it's possible in terms of setting, and I shall inform you, and you could play how do you say, synchronize from different
Yes.
spaces. Thank you so much. It's so creative. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. Thank you so
Amazing.
much.
It's helping me recognize the letters as you're singing it. I was following
Yeah.
the letters, so it's awesome. Thank you.
And it's I thought it's a way for us to practice a little bit the pronunciation, because it's like just to share, when I sang that song in Hebrew, another session, I was looking to the letters, the Hebrew letters, but there wasn't the Masoretic points, there wasn't this, so I had to listen to the audio, the pronunciation, and I translated like Eti just wrote it above. Just to say that it's an honor to compose in a verse of the Bible, and if anybody wants to, in another session, try to sing along, it would be really, really cool.
You know what you can do, Felipe? Maybe you can record yourself with this line, and
Yes.
we could practice. You can put a voice file, and then we can practice. Maybe record our voices and send it to you
Yes,
to
it would
work.
be amazing.
We can
Yeah,
try. We can try. Just give
Yeah.
us a Slack, and we can do it. Yeah.
It's just yes, it's just to play
No,
around
it's
and
beautiful.
approach.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. It is beautiful verse and a new beginning for the month of Tammuz, because there's a new moon month, yes, and it's like a new song which is being born with the new month. So happy birthday!
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And the next session, if you would like to meet, this is possible, maybe this weekend, but the next one will be on Monday. If you have an idea for presentation, or if you like to meet on Shabbat, this is also possible. So everything is open.
It.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, Felipe. Thank you, friends.
Thank
All
you,
the best.
friends. Wonderful.
Rosh Chodesh Sameach.
Amen, amen. Tov, tov. Amen, amen. Have a good, lovely week and wonderful months. Thank you for coming here. Shalom.
Shalom,
Thank
shalom.
you.
Thank you very
Shalom,
much.
shalom.